I've got this theory about kind of the conflict between fans and creators that play off on social media that has nothing to do with politics, has nothing to do with kind of social issues, and has everything to do with kind of tone and this other factor that comes out. I'm curious if yeah, just come into this with an open mind, listen to the case. I'm not completely convinced this myself. It's just a theory, like I said, but I think that there's more truth to this than some of the other pieces. Let's get into that. Hey, everybody, this is Perch. This is probably one of those cases where I'm thinking about this too much. Although I don't know, sometimes people say that, like, you're overthinking this, you're thinking about this too much. I don't know, I'm going to reclaim the overthinking as not a bad thing. Like, I wish more people would overthink, to be honest. I wish there was more thought, not less. I think, if anything, we kind of have a problem right now where there's not enough thought being put into things. So let's go a little overboard in the other direction. I don't think it's that bad, but anyway, it is what it is. Um, you see this conflict come up, and when I have talked personally to creators who express frustration at fans who seem to kind of want to jump at them constantly. Like, they'll post something, and it's like people are just waiting for there to be a mistake or a misspelling or any trivial thing or big thing, whatever it happens to be. That people are just waiting for it, and then they'll jump all over them like, oh yeah, you forgot about this, or you're representing this wrong, or oh, there you go again, promoting blank 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 blank, whatever it happens to be. And there's a frustration and exhaustion from creators saying, why am I held to this perfect standard? Why am I'm doing these comics? Don't the fans realize how important I am? And a writer told me that. Don't people realize how important I am? And I'm having a conversation, and I'm kind of going along with it. And it's a fine conversation, nothing wrong with it. I would say the majority of conversations I have are always good, and that line kind of struck me like a bit of like lightning, because I think it hammered in kind of the problem that kind of exists. Keep in mind, by the way, I've talked to many different creators of all different kind of politics and age and timeline, everything from the late '80s to today, and very rarely, I mean, very, very rarely. In fact, I think this is the only time somebody's come out and said something like, no, no, that's not true. It has happened before, but it's extremely rare that a creator has come out and said, don't the fans realize who I am? It was a telling comment. And it's a telling comment from the perspective of it identified kind of this separation between the creators and the readers, or the creators and the fans of, you know, I'm an important person. I'm famous. Therefore, I don't deserve, this critique, this person coming at me. I don't deserve it because I'm important. And in response to the conversation, I kind of chuckled. I'm like, well, I don't think anybody really deserves to be harassed. Doesn't really matter who they are. And I think that's what my stance on it. I don't really care, how famous you are, what you've done, etc. I don't think having a certain amount of work under your name suddenly makes you immune from being able to take criticism. I think that you're just as immune as the nobody person down the street. I think everybody's equal that in that regard. But by contrast, now shifting over to the fan perspective, when I hear fan complaints about creators, it's all over the map. It's things like, they push their politics on me. They're I'm blocked. I'm this. I'm that. There's this long list, but almost all of it comes down to kind of one root cause, and that's ego. It is this feeling that the fan is picking up on, that the creator believes they're better than them, and that they feel like they're being dissed. They feel like they're being kind of demeaned by the creator. And that's kind of the other half of this story that I don't think a lot of creators fully understand. Is there's a lot of fans who are now really hypersensitive, or very tuned into the idea that they are lesser. And you might argue, kind of in a bigger scheme of things, that the a lot of fans who are dealing with kind of nerd topics or sci-fi or comics are already dealing with this feeling like they've got the uncool stuff. If that, there's probably a better word for it than that, but just that they're in the outs, that they are, they're part of geek culture or nerd culture or otaku, or whatever it happens to be, that they're on this other place. And so if they basically, if somebody does say, you know what, I love comics, I'm all in on comics, I know it's not the most popular thing, but that's what I happen to love, I'm going to go to the comic shop, I'm going to embrace that kind of geek culture as my own. And then people who are creating that geek culture start to give people the same kind of feeling that they get from others who are bullying them for what they enjoy, then it turns negative really, really fast. And I think there's a bit of an element of truth here, kind of in how all the personalities are coming together. I think in a lot of cases, there are creators who struggle in the indies. They get to the quote unquote big two, they make it big time. They go to conventions. They're treated like rock stars and celebrities there, or they're it's a breeding ground for a big ego. You're, oh my God, you're doing this amazing stuff. Now, in the grand scheme of things, none of the current comic creators kind of hold a torch to J.K. Rowling or Raina Telgemeier or Dab Hilke or people who are making that kind of volume or money, or sports athlete or celebrity at that level. I mean, they're nowhere in that zone. And you kind of see this play out in different layers where comic book creators who are big names go to a Hollywood premiere and are treated like crap compared to the director, the producer, the actors, and others. It's the pecking order, right? So if you're a creator and you make it and you finally get to the zone, you got a lot of people kind of really chanting your name, wanting your autograph, all this kind of stuff. You're a celebrity. You're close enough to it that you remember what it was like to be a fan on the outside, and you made it, right? It's a big thing. And I think it tied up in all that is a lot of kind of very fragile feelings, a lot of feelings of jealousy and ego, and a lot of parts to it. I have seen many comic creators where there's like two creators who are friends, and one creator makes it big and the other one does not, and the friendship rarely survives. Like it is definitely under fire at that point because of this kind of built up jealousy. But when this all plays out, and especially if you go on Twitter and you read some of the tweets, a lot of them, not, I don't know, a lot of them, a good amount, I don't know, whatever, some volume of tweets, they come across very obnoxious. They come across very condescending in a lot of cases. They come across like, I am better than you. And in particular, a lot of creators do like to kind of tweet at each other, where you'll see like, Mitch Gerards is talking to Tom King and talking to Cully Hammer. I don't know. They're going around with each other and they're having, kind of conversations within their bubble, but it's on Twitter for everyone to see. And so fans will come in and they'll say, they'll try and get, Mitch Gerard's attention, and he won't give them the time of day because he's busy talking to his colleagues. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But because it's on social media and it plays out, on the public stage, the whole thing starts to, make a lot of fans get annoyed. They believe they have this access to creators that they do not have. The creator is, maybe leaning into the celebrity of their status a little bit more than they should, and the combination of those two elements makes things turn very bitter. I say that there's something to this because that the comments about politics being the issue, I think that's a red herring to a large extent. Yes, I do think that there are certainly creators who hold very, very firm politics in one direction or another, usually one direction, and there are fans who dislike that. But I'm watching. I see plenty of comic fans who have no problem interacting and dealing with people who are of the opposite political party, and they don't get all wound up about it. But it's the ego. It's that perception of ego. Maybe it's not even ego. It's just a perception of how all this stuff plays out that seems to get people really worked up and really pissed off. And that to me is there's a clue there in the disconnect between fans and creators. Which, by the way, for what it's worth, you take a guy like Brian Edward Hill, who is typically extremely nice, I would say, to people on social media who will take the time to respond to them and talk to them and everything else. Hill has very definitive politics. He's not a fence sitter, kind of wishy washy, and he states them. It's clear what his politics are, it's clear what he believes, and yet, most people, most fans get along with him quite fine, even though they hold 180-degree the opposite opinion. And I think a lot of that is chalked up to the fact that with Hill, it doesn't feel like you're engaging with a celebrity. It feels like you're engaging with kind of, average guy. It feels like you're engaging with a friend. Definitely has a huge follower count, has all the right metrics, has worked in Hollywood, worked in, comics, has, all the pieces are there that exist for others, but the interface is dramatically different. Now, I'll conclude with this. I'm not saying this is a call to action. All the creators need to be nicer on social media. I think that would be always nice. I think everybody should always be nicer everywhere. I think that's a good general goal to go for. I view this is an observation. You take it or you leave it. I'm not sure how much is it true, how much of it is not. But when I see people complaining about creator behavior, they complain about angry tweets, they often complain about political tweets. What I rarely see is people complaining that, hey, that creator is an arrogant jackass. But I think that's what a lot of them are actually feeling and responding to. That's my impression anyway. And for what it's worth, I think that a lot of creators don't necessarily intend to come across that way. I don't think that's their goal. I don't think that's what they tried to do. I think it just kind of happened by circumstance. And in a lot of cases, it's people misunderstanding each other because that's what social media is all about. But this is a perception it creates. One thing that is funny, if there are creators listening to this, that is, you probably you're not seeing it, but it's weird how much of a divide there is in this particular instance. When the creators talk to each other on social media, and again, for the record, there's nothing wrong with that at all. These are your friends, these are your colleagues, these are your work partners, whatever it happens to be. Talking with each other on social media is the most normal thing in the world. But it's interesting how much dislike there is generated, not from a few people in the fan community, but a lot of people in the fan community when they see this stuff playing out and they feel like they're excluded from it. It's weird. There is definitely an effect there that I think a lot of people miss. And again, I don't know. There's not a solution to that. I don't think creators should stop talking to each other, but that's part of the interesting psychology of social media that I find just really fascinating in how it plays out. Anyway, what do you think? Half baked theory, dumb idea, smart? There's something to it. I don't know. You let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, dislike. Tell me I'm smart. Tell me I'm dumb. Tell me your own theories. Interested to hear it. I don't know. This is psychology 101, and it's fun for me to talk about. Hope it's fun for you to listen to. And to that note, thanks for listening.